Yo, yo, what's good? What's good with you folks? You know who it is. It's your boy, John Mike, back again here with my guy, Delevante.
What's
Or
up? What's up?
Delevante.
What's up?
They're gonna think, I know people think your name is Delevante because of the way I be saying it, but
Well, it is Delevante.
It's Delevante, but I
Yeah.
know the way I say it though.
Delevante.
Delevante. You know, from Atlanta. No, it's but the correct pronunciation is
Delevante.
Delevante from Atlanta. Welcome to the Hangout, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a pretty cool show. We're trying something different for the first time, actually doing this live. We normally pre-record our shows to kind of get us keep a little bit more tight and controlled and all those things like that. But today we decided to try something different and actually do the show live today. So, man, how you doing, bro? You holding in there? You holding tight?
I'm doing good, man. We got coffee, so I'm good. You know, this morning was it wasn't as smooth as I expected it to be, but you know, hey, we here, we live, and that's all there is to say about it. We good.
Yeah, man. You know,
How you
I'm
doing?
over here. I got the bang. You know, I don't drink coffee, but I still get my caffeine shot. Yeah, you got to get the bang in there, man. You know, it's got the, I don't drink coffee. I ain't really been coffee dude. So, Bang is what gets it done for me, but it's sugar free, all that stuff. This video is sponsored by Bang, but no, it's not. It's not
man,
really
we
sponsored.
Get a sponsorship. That'd be what's up.
Man, if Bang sponsored me, because I drink these like every day, bro. Like, every day is crazy. It's crazy. So we got a few things on the docket for the day. I want to hit you guys with a couple of updates that I think is really, really dope. I'm going to share my screen here. Logic Pro, for all you producers out here, Logic Pro updated to version 10.7.5, which is really, really cool. I think this
saw
dropped
some Atmos features in there.
Yeah. You know, now they added Atmos in
the last update, but this one they it's something to do with the way you can monitor utilizing, because on your phone you can create like a customized ear thing. So now you can do the same thing from Logic.
Exactly. I think that's when they did that with the new update with the AirPods. So I guess you can
spatial
audio you can add in. I guess you can load in like the personal profiles.
Yeah, that thing.
I guess maybe you put your ears
or
in.
something like that.
Yeah. So it kind of works for that. So maybe you can personalize your personal spatial audio profile. You could add it to Logic, and that works for you, and get somebody else's profile. And I don't know, I'm gonna have to explore that on an actual video. One thing to note, you do have to have 12.3, which is Monterey, to update to this latest version of Logic. Now I'm on Big Sur on all my computers because I normally stay about 2 OSs behind for compatibility, and I got a whole video on that we don't have to we'll have to dig in. But there's some other dope features that they added in. Let me see here. Let's see, they added in, like you said, the personalized spatial audio support, but they also added in free tempo recording for Smart Tempo, Ableton Link support. This one was interesting. MIDI plugin output, and this was kind of confusing to me at first. I had to go actually research it, but basically, there's like MIDI plugins in Logic. I never really used them. I know some people do, but basically, it's like MIDI plugins, like arpeggiators.
Those things. Okay.
Yeah, those little things like that. They got little sequencer like MIDI plugins that are separate from the audio plugins in Logic, but they're just straight up MIDI. You know what I'm saying? And so this allows you to actually record that. It records what's going on with the MIDI plugins. So if you're using the MIDI plugins, it's actually a pretty dope situation because you can now get access to I guess being able to, edit those parameters for your MIDI effects that you have. But another added feature, or really like an enhancement of the regular feature, was basically clip gain. They got a gain tool now. So clip gain has kind of been in Logic for a while, but it's not as streamlined like it is in Pro Tools, Studio One, Ableton, where you just grab the region and just kind of pull the volume up and down. So they finally added that in Logic, which was dope. And then you got nested track stacks, which is cool. Which is, you can basically, all of the DAWs are moving to the folder-based system now. You can do it in Pro Tools. You can do it in Studio One. Logic, I think, was probably the first with track stacks to kind of hit that game. But now they kind of up the ante and added in where you can get like nested, like basically folders in inside of folders. So that's pretty cool. Of course, new sound packs, pedal board, stump boxes as independent plugins. So if you play guitar, this is probably going to be something that's cool for you with Logic as far as that's concerned. And then 32-bit file import. So you can now import 32-bit float audio files. Then they got some other little stuff in here that seems pretty dope. But Logic is pretty dope. Pretty dope update for Logic. Now I saw this post the other day that I thought was kind of interesting, or right when it happened, they was talking about how Logic basically gave this update with all of these new features to our users for free, whereas Pro Tools, Studio One, all of them are in subscription mode, and you got to pay you got to pay basically for these updates, or you got to be on the subscription to basically get those updates, which I thought was a pretty interesting kind of thing, kind of topic to kind of throw out there and talk about, because when you think about it, Logic has pretty much remained. If I bought Logic in 2000, well, I got the version 9 when I went to Full Sail, but I bought Logic Pro X in 2011, 2012, and I've never had to pay anything else again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they just keep adding in the features, whereas, Pro Tools and Studio One and all of them is always pay, and even Ableton and all of the other DAWs, Reason, all of them are all paid upgrades when they've done things. So,
well, I think the one thing we got to think about though is we're still technically on Logic X, so that is a incremental update, whereas it's not a new version, because even with Ableton, when you're on version 11, it's like, okay, when they do 11.5, 11.6, 11.7, you usually get those. But when they go to Ableton 12, more than likely it's going to be a paid update. So I wonder if Logic might be the same thing. When they go to Logic Pro 11, if they're going to require you to pay a little something to actually upgrade to a newer version completely.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to know. That's an interesting concept, because I thought about that as well when I was reading the post, that the fact that we've been on Logic version 10 since 2011 and 12. They haven't and after 10 years of development, we're still on version 10. We're only to 0.7 now. And so they've been kind of getting us with these incremental things. And I think that Apple just doesn't, I don't think they care about Logic like that. They don't, quite honestly.
I've been saying that for years. It's not their bread and butter. They don't make money on Logic.
Yeah. But it's crazy because it's like literally the number 1, number 2 DAW in the world. You know what I mean? When it comes to audio production and or mix, Pro Tools probably gets in there for mixing. But when you're talking about production, Logic is pretty much like the GOAT when it comes to that. So it's kind of crazy that that Apple doesn't really build anything around that. They haven't built any community around. That's one thing I like about Studio One and even Pro Tools. Like, they build community, and everything is all around what they do. You know what I mean? Studio One has official, Facebook groups and all of those things like that.
Yeah, I'm a part of the Avid Customer Association.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's the whole, but Apple doesn't have that kind of support system or community for Logic, which has always been kind of interesting to me, being that they're like the top, the top DAW out there, which is very interesting to me. But one thing, like you said, is different from all these different other DAWs like Logic and Pro Tools and stuff. Like you said, there's a subscription, so there's a support system. It's built out, and I don't have to worry about the upgrades. I'm just going to get them automatically based on my subscription. Versus, like you said, Logic that's just kind of trickling us. And I'm like, yo, just give us 11, give us something different, give us something new, give us something. Like, there's still a few things that I think Logic can like, but that's a topic for another date, because we can get stuck there and be dealing with logic all day long. But something else I want to point in, then we'll get to the meat of what we want to talk about today, and that is Ableton. Boys and girls, in case you didn't know, they dropped an app. Like, they actually have an iOS app. I'm so sorry for you Android users. They're not doing it for Android. They dropped an app for iPhone and iPad called the Note App, which is very interesting to me. It's not a stripped down version. Well, it's a very, very stripped down version. It's not like all of the full on.
That reminds me of the Native Instruments and the MPC.
Oh yeah. Definitely like the machine app or the MPC app type vibe. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. I mean, it looks like you got a grid, but what's cool when I zoom in here, let's see if I can zoom in. Let me zoom in. There we go. Looks like we got a grid here. It pops up. You got clips. You got a grid. And it's just coming in as you're playing. I guess, triggering the MIDI.
Step sequencer.
Step sequencer, yep. And then you got your effects and all of that stuff like that. I haven't downloaded it. I literally just saw this last night, and I thought, yeah, I'm definitely gonna talk about this on the show tomorrow. Because I thought this was.
Is it free?
Let's find out. Let's see.
Let's see what we got.
Ableton Note App. I just put cost in there. Let's just put $6. So for $6, you can get this app on your iPhone, and then I think it's just Compose only, though. That's the thing that kind of interested me because it's really about
you know,
it's got built-in sounds and you got melodies. Oh, okay. So I clicked on this. Here you go.
Yeah, you can do sampling so in there. Melodies.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. That's pretty cool. Sample, so you can sample using the built-in.
I think it's an idea thing. I think it's about like,
scratch pad.
Just kind of, exactly. There you go. Scratch pad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Creating variations. Yeah, so it's a scratch pad. It's very much in the IMPC, machine type vibe. This is not gonna be like the Ableton that us in our gospel community like really have known for you. Well, that does look dope. They got the clips in there. That's dope. I just saw that.
I'm trying to see if it says anything about exporting to Ableton, to
that was up here.
Production.
Get your idea out or play until you find using the notes, drum kicks, and sounds, create your own. I saw something up here as I was scrolling down that said that it would be
export your work in session view as an audio file to listen and share, but it doesn't say, export a whole Ableton session and then finish it on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Here you go. If you want to take your ideas further, use Ableton Cloud to send your project to live version 11.2.5 or later without leaving the app. Okay, so yeah, you can do that with the Ableton Cloud.
Got it. Yep. Continue your idea. Yep. There it is right there. Yep. So you're going to have to get into the Ableton Cloud situation. That's interesting. This is interesting.
Which I would hope for $6 you at least get, a little bit of storage space for free.
Something. That's interesting because I don't think it's going to be like what we think it is. What we would hope that, I think what everybody was hoping it was going to be, which would be like, basically Ableton on the iPad, I could come in.
I mean, Cubasis is still kind of the reigning app, I think, as far as a DAW on an iPad,
Yeah.
like Cubasis is crazy. And then there's
Yeah.
another one I think called Aria.
Aria
That was
Pro.
pretty
Yeah.
dope. So like those two, like
That's about
nobody's
the
beat them
cool.
out.
Yeah, that's about the closest you're gonna get to full featured DAW on an iPad, on an iOS
Unless
device.
Apple go ahead and roll out these pro apps on the iPad Pros, man.
I've been waiting on it because I think that's their long game. I think that's where they're going towards, is eventually they're slowly, because they're adding the M1 chip into all of the iPads and
But
all
see,
of that
the
stuff
problem
like
is
that.
they're taking too long because,
They are.
you know, on the iPad, when it comes to video editing, you had LumaFusion took over.
Yep.
And then now Blackmagic is coming out
Yep.
with an app. So it's like, yo, if y'all don't move faster,
Come
ain't
on.
nobody going to be looking for it.
Come on. Yeah, everybody's going to beat them to the punch. And somebody's going to come up with a full feature DAW for Logic. I mean, like on something that's like Logic or something that's like Pro Tools that's going to run full natively on the iPad, and we all going to be like, yo, this is it. And then they're going to lose market share. But yeah, I think that they're, like you said, they're taking a long way around. I think Apple's plan and strategy is probably 4 or 5 years away before we get full blown Mac OS basically on an iPad, or iOS device. I think I have a sneaky suspicion. We'll see how this ages, but I think it's gonna be like Apple OS. I'm willing to bet that will be the name. At some point, they're just gonna transition, because you notice every year they're getting closer, adding features.
Right, because now
you
can run. I can run iOS apps on my computer. Like now,
exactly. Yeah. So they're slowly but surely moving this thing over piece by piece. You can get phone calls on your Mac. You can send text messages on your Mac and all of that stuff like that. So it's like they're slowly but surely like migrating us. They're trying to change our behaviors. They're trying to migrate us over to make it where there's no difference between Mac OS and between iOS. And that's what I'm kind of waiting for and stuff like that.
That'd be cool though. That definitely would be cool, because I mean that's one of the things that us Apple users we love about Apple is how well the devices integrate with each other, and it's like going from your phone, going to your iPad, going to your computer. Like it's a very seamless transition. So to make it even more seamless by allowing you to run basically the same apps and all that kind of stuff, that'll be a game changer for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be super dope, man. All right, so that's some of the news of the day. Just wanted to get those out of the way because I know some people that may not have known about those updates. So I figured I'd drop them in. When I saw them drop yesterday, I said, well, let me just go ahead and get in here and inform the community about what's popping in the software space for us. As producers, engineers, all of that, man. But okay, topic of the day, deposits, contracts, how we interact with our customers, our clientele, business side of things. And I think we titled this Why I Stopped Taking Deposits. And I think that is kind of a relevant space of where we are.
Oh, it's very relevant because a day ago, a very prominent drummer that most of us know, I'm not going to mention his name, and you probably already seen the post, but he made a post about not getting paid. He was specifically talking about Atlanta and artists and people out here not paying on time, even though the work has already been done. And that came back to me as just like, man, I had already thought about having this conversation about business and how you run your business. Because a few weeks ago, somebody had made a post about, clients should have, they should treat you a certain way. And when they're paying you less than your normal rate, they should consider, that you're taking your time out, this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, yo, this is a business conversation. Like this ain't got nothing to do with what the client thinks or any of that. This is about you and how you operate your business.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. No, but I'll actually pull the post up here. I think I got it here. This is we all know. Come on, this is John Roberts. We don't have to like cloud it. Obviously, with all of these likes and shares and comments and stuff, most of y'all probably saw this post anyway.
Definitely,
so it ain't like we gotta And it's not, and he didn't say anything bad. It's not like
No, he
we
didn't.
going on here to trash. He actually made a very valid point. So I'm gonna read it out, for those, because we got it on audio as well. So those who are listening to the audio version will be able to kind of hear. So this is from John Roberts, prominent drummer, producer, musician. You know the name, his credits. Don't have to hash that out right here. But he says, I'm only going to say this once, and I shouldn't even have to say it at all. But I guess some people need to hear it. If I take time out of my crazy schedule to record a track for you, even if you're a little late paying me, which I'm not going for anymore either, but to not pay me or people that I asked to record at all, that's just disrespectful. Then he says, you already know what you're getting and when you're going to get it from me. So why would you even ask if you didn't have intentions to pay me or us anyway? And I've only experienced this type of shenanigans in Atlanta. I've experienced it in other places. I'm kind of inserting
Everywhere.
It's
everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's not just the ATL thing. But he said, from now on, I will charge up front because you get what you're paying for and some, but don't waste my time or my associates' time. I'm so tempted to blast the names and blah, 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 blah. That's very interesting premise. Like I said, like we were talking about before, that I personally stopped taking deposits quite a while ago. With when it comes to production, mixing, mastering, all of those things like that, for production gigs, I stopped taking deposits because now I know this is kind of a different way of, some people will agree with me, some people won't, and that's fine. I think the deposit system is almost becoming antiquated. You know what I mean? I really do think it is because of, the way we deal. It's a slow process. It's the communication with the artist or the producer or whatever the case may be. Then it's, okay, we need the deposit, and you get the deposit. Then we got to get the files, and then we got to sort through all of that. Then we got to work through the product. Then we got to send this and do this and get timestamps and go through the revision process and go through all of these hoops and things, only to get on the other side and have to wait again for the month. So you had to wait up front for them to send the deposit. Then you had to wait again to get paid. And I've had so many situations where I've either been burned, to B, been had to play the waiting game to hurry up and wait. Just hurry up and wait. It's a month later.
Waiting right now.
Man, you know what I'm saying? You chasing them down, emailing, holding files, doing all of this stuff like that. I mean, I've had too many situations to even name. Like I can't even. It's been so many times that different things like this happen that I can't even highlight a single thing, because this happened in just in 2022. I had it happen to me at least 5 or 6 times, waiting on files, waiting on money, didn't know if the artist was gonna pay me, yada 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 yada. And so I ultimately, a few months ago, just decided to just forego the entire deposit process altogether and just go with paying me up front. Just pay up front. And the reason I found that to be a better workflow for several reasons. One, name and be that I get all the money up front, of course. But the number one pro, that's the number one pro. The second pro to that is the fact that I'm able to now have money to work within the production or in the mix, because if I'm producing a track, then I've got other people that I have to pay, like a bass player, a guitar player, a drummer. Maybe I got somebody else that's cutting organ if I'm not doing it, or maybe I got somebody else that's doing aux, or maybe I got background vocals that are coming in that are going to be doing their thing. And if I have to pay them out my pocket up front, while that a lot of times that production cost is going to outweigh the deposit. Now, I used to try to get as much of the deposit to be able to cover that point, but again, that leaves you without anything. So, for instance, I'll give a one scenario I can think of where I charged, the amount for the production, got the deposit of half up front, which was basically just enough money to cover what I had to pay for production costs. That was hiring the band, getting in the background singers, paying them for the studio time and all that stuff like that covered. That's what the deposit covered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got that project. We got all the recording and the production and part of that done all within a few weeks, and we were done. And then I'm thinking, okay, let's go ahead and get this to mix so we can finish the mix so I can get the rest of my money. Well, that process took almost 4 months to finish the rest of that process because of the artists and revisions and back and forth, and even at a point having to go back and record some stuff. So here I am. I've been investing all of this time into this project for several months. And I've already spent the deposit, spent the money for production up front, you know what I'm saying? And there was nothing left basically for that living cost, for that living wage. That's money that I'm having to work. And that's the frustrating part. I know we've all experienced that. That's just one example. But even when I can talk about mixing, even if it's just a project that I'm mixing, it's the same difference because I got to pay a guy for vocal tuning. You know what I'm saying? I got to pay the mastering engineer, for said amount of songs. You know what I mean? And those costs have to be paid up front. They want their money up front or at receipt, which is going to be like with vocal tuning is going to be in process.
Right.
That's in process. So if the guy done tuned 6 songs for me, I got to pay him as soon as he finishes those 6 songs, even though I'm not done with the mix yet. So I've already paid out money for that.
Well,
you know what I'm
okay,
saying?
we're gonna double back on some of this because that's what you should do. We've all seen situations where people don't operate that way, and you said something earlier that for me like encompasses this whole thing, and it's process. It's literally about you as the producer, you as the business owner. You have to outline the process of how you like to work, how people deal with you. Like I went through a period, of just kind of just winging it. And that worked for a time. But as you start stepping up and you get more and more bigger projects and things, like you have to take control. Like for instance, like you don't go into Foot Locker and tell them how you're going to shop. Like, no, they got shoes out. If it's not the size you're looking for, you want to try the size, you got to find an associate. You ask the associate for the shoe. Like, they have a process of how you buy shoes from them. So the same way we got to do, like, if you want to get paid up front, you need to outline that in your process. If there's a certain way you want people to send you files, you got to outline that process. Like you can't, you can't expect people to understand the way you work. And for two, it's not for them to understand. Like it's for you to dictate what the situation is going to be. So if it's, hey, I need all files sent to this email address named a certain way, that's how you work. You tell them that. If they deliver you files any other kind of way, you're well within your rights to kick the files back. And I do that quite often. Like if I get sent MP3s, hey man, I can't use MP3s. I need the WAV file. So now they got to go back to the engineer or whoever and get the proper files. And what that does is it takes the burden off of you, because at the end of the day, sometimes we try to take on too much when it's not our problem. Like when something's not our fault, we shouldn't have to deal with it. And I've been learning that, more and more this year, because I've just been dealing with projects to where things come up that have nothing to do with me. Like it's not my fault. And old Dale would be like, okay, no problem. I'll take care of it. Or I can do this. I can fix it. Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, I got 5, 6, 7, 8 projects running all at the same time. I don't have time to deal with this thing that's not my fault. Oh, we messed up this. Well, y'all need to go and fix that. It's not Dell's fault that happened. Y'all messed that up. So I'm gonna need for you to take care of that on your end. Like if you're supposed to pay me, for a particular service and you waiting on somebody else to pay you, that's not how you operate a business. Like if you as the producer are hiring the bass player, you need to already be ready to pay that bass player. The same
Big
way you
facts.
expect somebody to be ready to pay you for the production when the production's done. You got to be ready to say, all right, bass player, here's the record. Go ahead and track that. All right, you done. I love it. Sounds good. Here you go. Here's your money. Like
Facts.
that's how you got to operate. But I think, we fail to do this. And even sometimes we have these practices for certain people, but then when it comes to friends or family or something
Come
like
on.
that, we start deviating from our process. And I'm at a point now, it's like, there is no deviation. The process is the process. You want to book a session with me? Guess what? You got to pay a deposit. Like that's just that.
Yeah.
Like if you want you want track drums, cool. You need 3 hours of track drums. All right, we're gonna need a deposit, or I'm not putting you on my schedule. And everybody goes through that. That's everybody's process. You have to pay a deposit, or I'm not putting it on the schedule. I'm not setting up mics. I'm not doing nothing until there's a deposit, because otherwise you end up doing all this work and then it's like, oh, my bad, bro, this came up,
cancellations,
or this or that, or we, of course, traffic and stuff like that, we understand that, but it be just the most random things. It'd be like, oh, I overslept, I took a nap and I overslept, or baby mama this, or baby. It's like, yo, I've been in here setting up for your session for 2 hours and getting the mic suite, and you not showing up. That's time I lost that I could have been doing something else that would have been bringing in money or something. Or I got projects that I'm supposed to be working on anyways, and I just slotted you in real quick because it was supposed to be a quick session, which turned into an all-day debacle. So it's like, yo, I'm not dealing with that kind of stuff. And I think we all got to get to the point to where we don't deal with those things. Like, we make specific rules for how we work, and everybody, your mama gotta adhere to them processes. Now, I know people gonna be like, hey, Dale, sometimes, you got a homie, you got these certain situations. Okay, yeah, we all got discernment. Like, so you, of course, you have discernment, and certain times you pick and choose what you want to do it. But 99% of the time, the process should be the process. End of story.
No, I totally agree with that, bro. I totally agree with that. Especially as a studio owner, that's a different space. When I was running a public studio, I was in that same bag as well. Like, you kind of have to have deposits for that, because like you said, that's your time and cancellations and issues that kind of go along with that just kind of put a damper on things and stuff. But then when I got into the production world, that's where I started seeing a lot, and mixing as well, started seeing a lot of these issues with dealing with clients. But I'll tell you one thing that really helped me push the button on going to a pay me up front full, price kind of model was my experience working with Delaney Land, right? You work with us over in Delaney Land as well, so you know how that
sidebar.
process.
We got to talk about something. Something came to me as I was driving this morning, so we got.
Okay. We definitely need to have a conversation about that. But working with Delaney Land taught me this and showed me this, was that when we started that thing, and for those who don't know, I was for Delaney Land for like the whole year, the run that we had with that company. I coordinated all of the production and all of the mixing for Delaney Land. So I touched pretty much every record that came in and out of that situation. They brought me in to do that. So I coordinated all of the production, all of the mixing, yada, yada, yada. But what I saw working with them on that situation and that frenzy that they cause, that uproar that they cause, people have the money. Now, there are some people that try to lowball you and try to do all of that stuff like that. But what I saw was, as soon as Todd put together a product that people were willing to get behind the production, get behind that, and really support that, they instantly paid all of that $1,500, that $2,000 all up front. Like, just gave it. And because they trusted the name. Yep. They trusted the name and they trusted the brand, right? And because they trusted the name and they trusted the brand, there was no deposits. We didn't do deposits. We didn't do any of that stuff like that. It was just pay it up front. You get your music and you go through this process and you're going to get it at the end, which that's what helped me move into this space and so this is something I suggest. This is where I'm kind of trying to land with this. If you're just getting started in this thing, you're just getting started in production, you're just getting started in this whole game, you probably want to go the deposit route, the traditional route, and take deposits and do, because you're trying to establish yourself at that point. You know, you don't have records under your belt. You haven't been mixing for 10 years or 15 years. You haven't been producing for X amount of years. You don't have 100+ clients or whatever that you work with over the years, to a proven track record, so to speak. You don't have those things. So if you're still just trying to get established, I think it's perfectly fine and within your means to be doing that. But if you've been doing this for over a decade, or, you know, for a good amount of time, that makes sense, and you've got X amount of clients and you've produced X amount of results, and you have established your name and your brand and your production level and your you know, everything that you do, I don't think there's anything wrong with charging that full price up front, because you've established yourself enough to where people know, hey, you're not going to run off with my money. Hey, you're not going to run out. You know, you're
and it
getting
depends too. Like certain projects for me, like, you know, I work in film. Obviously, everybody knows I'm in that world too, and that's a different kind of money. So certain projects I decipher, like, you know, it's going to be deposit or it's going to be paid in full. Like if we talking about a $15K project, then okay, most people not finna just throw $15K straight at you, but they will throw 25%. They will throw 30%. They will throw 50% or whatever it is. But even with that, you have terms and you have schedule. So you have a situation where, okay, maybe you pay this deposit up front. Like, matter of fact, I give you live recording. When I do live recordings, they pay a deposit for the live recording. So we get the deposit. That allows me to go secure any additional gear I need to get. It puts it on my schedule, all that kind of stuff, and we're ready to rock. Then you have to pay another 25% the day before the recording. So 25% to start the project, 25% the day before we start recording. All right, cool. The recording's done. We move on to overdubs and doing all that stuff. Cool. 25%. All right, now that we moved into mixing, the only thing remaining is the last 25%.
That's good.
And once the masters and everything are done, before you can download those files, that last 25% got to be paid. Now, what happens is either people adhere to that schedule perfectly and it runs smoothly, or like you said, because you have such a track record and people know who you are, they know your brand, they know how you operate, they end up paying you in full anyways. So it's like even giving them the option, it's just like, yo, you've already proving yourself to where they're like, just go ahead and pay them. Just pay it all up front. You know, they might pay half and then, you know, you get 2 weeks in and they're like, here go the rest of the money. Like, so but if you never establish those things, people gonna treat you however you allow them to treat you. And I know y'all see and hear that kind of, you know, that statement a lot, but it is facts, man. It is all day facts.
Big facts.
It's a much different conversation when somebody calls you and they say how much you charge, and, you know, you just kind of give them the whoop-de-woo, and they're like, okay, cool, you know, and then you just take the project and you just start getting the move, and then it's all of a sudden like, oh man, I didn't get paid. Versus when they call and you say, all right, so it's gonna cost XYZ. I need this much of a deposit down up front, and when you send me the files, I'll send you a date when I get started on the mix. Like, you give them a whole process of how it's gonna go. Now they're getting some respect for you. It's like, okay, wait a minute, I'm not dealing with Johnny down the street. Like, this is like, I'm dealing with a business person, somebody who got operations and they got things going on. So it's like, okay, when they see that, like, they have to respect you at that point. Like, you know, I've just reached that point where people you're gonna respect me. Like, when you ask me for something and I tell you what it is, I'm so confident in what I'm saying. You just have to be like, well, dang, that Dale said it's $1,500. All right, it's $1,500. Like,
it's $1,500. That's
like,
the price.
Go get the bag.
Yeah, the cost is the cost. The cost is the cost, man. But I love that. I love that, the fact, and I've had that situation as well, because I've experimented with all of the different ways. Like you said, I tried the installment situation as well, where you do like 25 up front, and then after a certain point, there's another thing due, and then after another point, there's another, you know, and then I've done it where milestones, like a milestone type payment system. Like, okay, I need this much up front, and then after a certain point, once we get song 3 done or song 4 done, this is what I need right here. And then once we get here, this is what I need here. And once we get to mastering, I need this. You know, I've tried that as well. And I always found myself just ultimately at some point in all of those processes frustrated with that process of trying to get it, whether the project was taking too long, because we all know, you've experienced it as well. Like, this is the process itself is messy without any contracts, without any documentation. It's still messy, period. Even now, the documentation, which I love, yet that approach that you have with outlining, because I think you told me how, like, you send the client a whole doc.
Oh, like, they get a proposal right before me, like a 5-6 page proposal that's lined out to a T. That's really what you're gonna get when you're dealing with me, and each step of the process is outlined. Everything is there, so there's no questions.
I think that's a very optimal way to operate, because again, we get messy with these processes, and because a lot of these, let's keep it a buck, in this day and time, a lot of these conversations for production and mixing and all of that start on social media, because that's where they literally gravitate to. They gravitate to your DMs. And what I started doing was actually moving people from DMs to, here's my website.
Absolutely.
Here's a form. I need you to fill out this formal inquiry 100%. So we can and then we communicate via email, because there's a paper trail when you have email. I know a lot of people, we're in this social media like realm, and you love DMs and you love doing all of that stuff. But I'm telling you, like, especially with the features they have with social media now, like, you can undo messages, you can undo sends on anything. Like, you could go all the way back to something from a year ago and unsend that message, and it disappears from the thing. Now, the user will get a notification that you unsent a message, but that paper trail is gone. And if you didn't screenshot it out of that DM, you know what I'm saying, then that's you lost that. There's no way you can go back and say, well, no, you said this, or no, you said that. Well, no, where is it at? Where's the proof? Well, you unsent the message. Well, man. Yeah, I unsent it, but how, if you didn't screenshot it, how can you prove that that's what I said if you don't have that information direct there? Because it's gone.
I'm email good for that.
Email does not have that feature. If it was said in an email, it's there. I can go all the way back to emails I sent back in 2001. Like, I got one email address that I've had since like 99, and I still got that email address, still use it to today for one of my businesses. But I can go back to 2001 and read emails that I was sending out during that time period. Yep. So email has that stuff. So what I've started doing is moving people off of platforms like this to more for. Now, we'll have the initial, banter or whatever.
The discovery message.
Yeah. Have your discovery there. That's fine. But the second it gets beyond the baseline conversation to, hey, I'm ready to work, then it's time to move off platform.
Right. And I mean, so this is getting into, like, now we're talking about CRMs, customer client relationship management software. Yep. So for me, I use a program called Sonito, which manages everything for me. Okay. And what happens is, as soon as somebody contacts me, hopefully they contacted me via my website. If they didn't contact me there, I'm going to try to push them there to fill out the form. As soon as they fill out the form, their information immediately goes into Sonito. And so I have their name, I have their email address, I have what type of project they're looking for working on. Hopefully they told me what type of budget they have and gave me some details about the project, maybe some links to some previous work that they've done so I can check them out, figure out if I even want to work with them in the first place. And so I have that now, and that's called a lead. So now I have that in my software as a lead. And then
so you're using them as so you got creating a database basically on all of your customers or all of your clients.
Exactly, but this is just like, lead. When you get leads, like, we're all been guilty of this, where somebody hit us up about something and we'll forget to hit them back.
All day.
Like, or we'll forget what the conversation was. We'll forget, how much we told them or whatever it was. Like, and so by having a CRM, you can put all of these details. Like, this is a great example. When you call really Sweetwater, and your rep get on the phone and be like, "Hey man, how you doing? And how's such and such working out for you? Oh, I know you bought X, Y, and Z." You think they really remember that much stuff about you? They don't. They
Interesting.
literally looking at a CRM that has all these details about you and every interaction, every conversation y'all have had. And so they know things that makes it look like you really, really know them, but they're just
Interesting.
really good at managing you. So when you do this, even for leads, like you have a lead in there, and so now that person, you put them as, we're in communication, or they're a brand new lead. And then what that does, when I look at Sonito for the day, I can see, who's new, who I talked to already, and I can put notes in like, oh, I sent such and such an email with a quote, blah, 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 put all the information in there. And now there's a note that's right there with that particular person. And some CRMs get even crazier where you can actually link your email to where your emails automatically will populate in there. But this way, you have a full paper trail of the entire relationship with that person. So you can see, okay, cool.
That's
They hit me
cool.
up on Instagram on this day, and we talked about X, Y, and Z. I followed up. They said, boom, boom, boom. I gave my prices. They were cool with that. All right, cool. So now it's been a week later, and you see that that project hasn't started. Like y'all talked, they said they, had an album that needed to get mixed by such and such date, and you see that we haven't moved forward. That's when you can be able to say, all right, let me hit this person up, send them email, phone call, text message, like, hey, last time we talked about X, Y, Z. Just trying to follow up and see where you're at. Like, man, I can't tell you how much extra business I've gotten just off of follow-ups. But it's only because I have something in front of me that's telling me that, hey, you haven't talked to this person in a week. You haven't talked to this person in 2 weeks. Like, what's going on with this project? Like, it's literally something in your face, almost as a to-do. Like, okay, this is a potential project that's really good. If you keep following up on it, you might get it. So sometimes I've had people come back, after, 6 months, and it's like, oh, we're about to start this project, all because I hit them up and like, hey, I know last time we spoke, your kids were going back to school, and, you're trying to get some things situated, but, how's everything, settled down? You still thinking about that project? And they'd be like, actually, yes, I just got, my taxes back, and so let's do it.
That's interesting. So you said that's called Sonito?
Yes, Sonito. Sonito is the particular software I use, which is it's a complete studio management software, and we can have a different episode, or people can hit me up if they want to talk about that specifically. But it does a lot, man, from client management to project management to everything. Like, I have about 20 projects running right now that are all in progress, and I can see each project. I can see where we're at in the project, what we've done. Upload files, clients can import files directly to there. So you create these places to where they have to deal with you a certain way. Like, for instance, revisions. Like, I don't do email or text message or Facebook message. Like, I don't do that for revisions. Like, Sonito has a built-in review platform to where they leave comments on the mix at a particular timestamp. And matter of fact, you can do this with Dropbox. When you send somebody a Dropbox link, they can make comments within Dropbox that are timestamped. What you have to do, again, talking about processes, you have to make sure you tell people, hey, all your revision notes, all your thoughts and put them in Dropbox, because that's where I look for notes. I don't look at my text messages. I don't look at DMs. I don't look at anything else but there, because it's a full checklist for me. And if it's not there, it technically doesn't exist. You push people to that, and you let them notice how you operate, and you don't deviate from that. They begin to respect that, and you have a much easier life, because it's not I said such and such over here in this text message. It's like, yo, that text message was 3 weeks ago. It's not in this current thread. Like, you done switch platforms 3 or 4 times. Like, at first you text message me, then you DM me, then you hit me up over here. It's like, no. I'm finna tell you where to put notes at. I want you to put notes in here. This is where notes go.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good, man. Because I've done similar things to that as well. I didn't know about Sonito. I'm gonna have to look into that myself to see with that. And then, like I said, we just need to do a full episode. On that.
We can make that happen. I can get the owner to come on, and I'm actually
that'd be crazy.
I full disclosure, I do work with the company to as a brand ambassador. So if anybody wants a demo, and we can get on Zoom, and I can walk you through the software and what it does and how it can help you. Because at the end of the day, like 2 years ago when I started using it, that's when I started to really step up my business and really felt like I was starting to get a hold of things and have a better handle on things. But it was all because I now had somewhere to manage my business and really could keep everything in my face and keep it organized and not just all over the place. Like some of us are fortunate enough to have wives that kind of keep us on track. But if your wife also
That's
works
me.
and she has her career going on, she can't really be bogged down with keeping track of everything you got going on. That's your
Exactly.
job. So,
Exactly. No, I've been in that that place before. Like I've used Dropbox for years for that timestamp thing for revisions. And then I've also coordinated that with, they got the whole iCloud notes thing now
yep.
on your iPhone and stuff where you can do that. And I'll take those notes and I'll put the revisions in there. And then the artist can also see that and they can do. So, that's how I've been kind of managing, but I'm going to look into Sonito because I think that's going to be cool. But like I said, it creates this thing of you don't have to get out and be having these conversations or talking about how you got burned or talking about, because I'm not just talking about John Roberts, because I think he was just expressing the situation, the frustration of the situation, but you don't have to get burned in these situations once you figure out your processes and you make people adhere to those processes while you're in the process. You know what I mean? Like you set those boundaries, you provide documentation, you create a database that keeps everything in a centralized location. Because if you're communicating with this artist, if you got text messages, if you got DMs on IG, and WhatsApp, God, I hate WhatsApp.
I don't even have WhatsApp.
But I deal with a lot of online. I deal with a lot of overseas clients. Like I just got, I was telling you about this morning. I just got pinged by one of a client from over in the UK that's we're mixing the record for, and so that's all through WhatsApp because that's what they use over there. That's their messenger. That's their, But when you got like all these conversations kind of popping up over here, over there, you lose track. You got to get everything in a centralized location when it comes to the communication, the revisions, all of those things, even with your deposits, even with all of those things like that. You need to be able to set those premises and set those things so you make sure that you get paid.
We can even go to how you like to get paid. Like, I accept pretty much any type of payment, but the first thing I'm pushing them to is my QuickBooks. Like when I send you an invoice, you can pay directly on the invoice. That's the way I prefer. And the only reason I deviate from that is because either they're overseas or something to where it works better for their system, or they're going to do a direct deposit or something like that. But most of the time, I want you to pay me through QuickBooks. Why? Because that's where I do all of my business accounting. It's all in there. I have QuickBooks accounts. And so when you pay, it automatically updates the invoice to show that it was paid. It goes in there. It does all the things. I don't have to go back and track it down because it's right there within the system. And I can see it and it pops up. Everything stays populated. Everything stays organized, and you don't have to deal with all these multiple different ways, and then you have to deal with, PayPal fees. And I know people got their feelings about PayPal and Cash App and all these things. It's like, again, this is your business. Like, you dictate how you operate. Again, the Foot Locker example, guess what? You either paying cash or you playing card. Like there is no, hey, can I use my Bitcoin? Can I use this? No. Right. We take cash or we take cards. That's it. Or if you got some other way you want to pay, maybe you can go to footlocker.com and use something else on the computer. But as far as when you walk in this store and how you're going to pay, these are the two methods of payment that we accept. And if you can't do that, then oh well. Think about it. When you go to get food, even in 2022, occasionally we run across a restaurant that for whatever reason is still on cash only. Well, guess what? If you really want that food, what do you go do? All right,
you're going to go to an ATM, bro. You're going to run to an ATM.
Get this cash. You don't be like, oh, I'm not going to eat here or whatever. It's like, no, that's how they operate. You want their food, you're going to go get that money.
No, that's totally true, man. Like I'm in that bag with that as well. I think it's all about that. And I what's been working for me lately, these last probably 4, 5, 6 months, has been that process of just not taking deposits. Like I just kind of X'd out the deposit system because it worked better for me. And it also helps you manage your budget and manage your project a whole lot better. I don't spend that money until that project is completely done. I have a separate account where all of that money funnels into, and it doesn't move out of that account until that project is completed. So I just ignore it. But, it depends. Again, there's been situations where I have had to dip into it, but I know based on relationship with the artist, where we are and where we are in the project, I need to dip into this real quick because I need this to pay this or whatever. Or it's something real, especially if it's something related to the project, I'll definitely dip in for that, because it gives you a peace of mind of knowing that everything is already paid for and it's already done. And so once I'm done with this project, I'm done. I don't have to wait around for any money. I don't have to wait around for I have to chase you down for a deposit. I don't have to chase you down for that. And it gives, for me, it gives, it kind of, it does, here's another thing that it helps with. It does help you cut out the low ballers. It does help you cut out the people that really aren't serious about getting the production done, because again, you start talking about these DMs, all of these leads, all this stuff. I got message requests full of people that are just like, hey bro, what is this? Hey, yada yada yada. I'm just inquiring about prices. I'm just inquiring about price, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And then I follow up to tell them, hey, here's the website, here's that, and then there's no follow up after that, because they weren't really at that point where they were serious or ready to get going, or the price wasn't what they wanted, or they were trying to lowball. But if you tell them, hey, it's $1,500 to get production, mixing, and mastering for one song, or it's $2,500 if you need this and you need this and you need that. Right. You know what I mean? If you lay that out, and then the terms are, it's payment in full up front. These are the terms. This is how the files are delivered. This is how yada 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 yada. Once you've laid all of that out and they can see, it does that, and you deal with you get the type of clients that are actually serious and ready to go. Cause like I've dealt with clients that literally like they got money. So money isn't the situation. Oh, it's okay. What's this project going to, okay, 10,000. Okay, cool. They just cut the check. Go ahead, pay it right then. And we done. And we can go ahead and start the project. We can go through it. And now that motivates me to try to because again, I'm putting that money to the side and I'm not touching it until the project is done. So that gives me the motivation to get up every day and start working towards finishing this project, getting it done, because why? I need to be able to get this money in the clear, because I need to pay my bills.
Right. And I mean, some of it it's about being transparent too. As a producer, sometimes you just got to be, completely transparent with people and let them know, hey, this money that you're paying me, you're not paying me. Like, okay, I'm bringing in a drummer, I'm bringing in a bass player, I'm bringing in X, Y, and Z. Or, if you're on a certain project where, oh, we got to go book a major studio, we got to book an orchestra, like we got to do all these things. Like, I'm going to be able to do all of those things much faster and much more efficiently if I already have the money, to do those things. Otherwise, I'm having to call you, you might be at work or doing something else to where I got to wait, some hours before you get back to me while I'm already on the phone with the venue, like all these different things. We can get rid of all of those things by just having the money paid up front. And then that way the project can just move and move. Cause I mean, I move the quickest when everything's paid. When I got the money to do stuff, come on, man. It's ready to go. I'm done before they even ready to get started.
Exactly.
Because it's like, oh man. And the other thing is, for me, I'm full time, you're full time. So it's like, I'm not having to go to another job and then come in at night or whatever it is to do this. Like, this is what I do. So it's like, 10 a.m. I'm working on whatever it is I need to be working on, and I can move throughout the day knowing that I have the resources to make those things happen. But I can't, as a business owner, I can't be calling a mastering engineer like, hey man, I need you to master this record. And then they get done with the master and I don't have the bread. Like,
you don't have the bread, bro.
Like, what is that?
I've ran into those situations, and then you when you didn't. Now, if you're getting deposits, if you're going to do that process, make sure that this is a part on your part. This isn't really have anything to do with the artist. This is on you as the producer. Make sure that you get everything you need up front to cover your production costs at bare minimum. I've made that mistake. I'll be fully transparent. I've made that mistake of not thinking all of those things things through and taking just a half upfront type situation or a 25% upfront situation on a deposit and got into the project. And like you said, you done got all, like, the terms were, okay, yeah, we get paid after the master and everything is done. Well, I done paid. And let's say, because like I do a lot of that where I'm doing everything, full package type mixing, where I'm doing the production, I'm doing the mixing, and if I'm outsourcing to anything, it's going to be to the musicians, BGVs, and mastering, tuning, and things like that. Those are things I'm going to outsource for. And so, you got to take all of those things into account when you're taking a deposit, because if you're not, unless you're that phenom, like I always love Jan Hunter Jr. He's like one of my ultimate examples of like just a phenomenal musicians. Unless you're a phenom like that, where you just literally do everything yourself. You're doing the keys, the organ, the drums, the bass, the guitars, the drums. Then you're going to mix it. You're going to tune it. You're going to master it. Unless you're that guy, which most of us aren't that guy. Most of us are like, that's like the top 1%
Don't even
of
want
us.
to be that guy. Thought I wanted
we
to
all
be
want
that
to
guy.
be that guy.
I thought I did, but once you start doing it, like, no, man, I am not trying to be bogged down with having to do all of this for every single project. And then again, like I said, I got about 20 projects that I know of that are on my right now active projects. So you think I'm gonna be sitting around here doing recording, mixing, mastering, tuning, contacting this person, booking this for all 20 of those projects? Absolutely not. Like, I don't want to. I have a family, I want to spend time with them. So it's no way for me to realistically think I'm about to sit down and do all that stuff. And then some things, like, I learned this too as I was growing in business, was that sometimes we do stuff that's below our pay grade. So for example, and it's not to slight anybody in what they do, but vocal tuning. I rarely tune vocals anymore. Why? Because that's a $25 an hour job. I make more than $25 an hour. So what sense does it make for me to sit down for 5 hours or whatever it is, tuning some vocals at $25 an hour when I'm making $75, $90, $100 per hour doing other stuff? No. Pay somebody else to do that so I can go over here, make more money, do other things. That helps you keep more projects rolling. You move through the projects faster. You keep your headspace cool, and you're managing your time, and you're making what you should be making, and not, because what happens is you'll tell somebody, let's say $500 to mix a record. Then you spend, let's say, 4 hours tuning the vocals. And then you do drum editing. So that's another maybe 2 hours for drum editing. Guess what? They want to do some overdubs. So maybe you got to do a 2-hour session for overdubs. So your $500, when you break it all down, then turn into $10 an hour. Or something ridiculous, because you out here doing all this stuff that you shouldn't really be doing. Like, it's not your wheelhouse.
No, that's real. That's definitely real. Cause like that makes total sense, because I don't do vocal tuning anymore. I used to try to master my own stuff. I don't do that anymore for various reasons, but that was one of the reasons why, is because, like you said, you got to start thinking about your costs per hour. And those are things that slow down the process as well too. If you're deposit based, and you done got a deposit up front, and then you're trying to do all of this stuff yourself, you know what I mean? You're slowing down the process of what it's going to take for you to get this project completed. Whereas if you can be efficient, like if I'm producing, mixing, and mastering a project, and I charge the artist or the producer or whatever, whomever, the client, for that full price, then I can be efficient because I don't have to do everything. I don't want to do everything, first of all, because I'm about to be 40 and I ain't 22 anymore, trying to, just young and hungry and think I can do everything. Nah, I learned how to outsource, and I learned the power and the speed of that, because especially when you build your network, and this is a whole nother conversation for another time, but build your network with people that are dependable, quick, and fast. I got bass players that I know that have 2-hour turnarounds 2 hour turnarounds, like 1 hour if it's something simple. I know I got drummers that's on ready, like they got the mic set up and they're ready to go. And I know if I call them, I'm gonna have these files back by the end of the day. I get the voice note from the artist. I got the arrangement. I done arranged the keys. I done threw a loop on there. I'm sending it out to the team. I'm sending it out to the bass player, to the drummer, to the guitar player. I've got the sketch of everything they need, and within 24 to 72 hours, within basically 2 to 3 days, I'm going to have all of the music done. You know what I mean? All of it done. And then we're if we're doing BGVs, then I'm gonna have BGVs scheduled to come in later that week, and we're gonna get those BGVs done. Week one, I'm trying to be done with production. You know what I mean? With the arrangement, the production of everything, in a perfect world. And then we're in mixing the second week, and we're out of there by the end of that week, or within 2 to 3 days after that. I can be more efficient because I got things put in pockets, and I'm not trying to do everything. But if I got to sit down and arrange it, then I got to play the drums on it, then I got to play the guitar on it, then I got to play the bass on it, then I got to get the BGVs arranged, then I got to get in there and spend time with them, then I got to do it. We a month in, we 30 days trying to get $1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like,
man, like for years, I joked and said I was retired. And for a while it was a joke, but now, like, I can count on one hand how many tracking I've done this year. Like I'm out of it. Like I'm not that guy anymore. And then, like, again, like, as you have more projects and you start doing more stuff, and then you start looking at all the people you look up to. How many records did Quincy Jones actually sit down and play on?
Come on, bro.
I mean, if we really looking up to people like that, we got to look at how they move and what they did. Quincy Jones, he could play. We all know he could play, but he wasn't playing because that wasn't the role. At the end of the day, if you're producing a record, the job is to get the record done. Like that. That's the end. You got to end up with a product that somebody can put out. So if that means I got to hire a band to come in here and record, guess what? We hiring a band to come in here and record, because, like you said, if I'm sitting down recording everything, how long is it going to take me to do that? I got to sit here and arrange it. I got to record the keys. Then I got to do aux. Then I got to track the drums. I got to do key bass. And it's like, no. How about I bring the band in? Hey, y'all, we got this record. Here's a song. Let's come up with the arrangement on the fly. All right, let's track it live. Let's get it all done. Yep. Boom. Like, it's done. Out of there. And then if you want to take it a step further, bring the artist into the room. Like, hey, come in here. We working on your record right now. Come in here. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Let's get it done. And you move faster. You get the project done faster. Everybody's happy. You're not lingering on things. And then you don't end up with the as time goes, people start not to like their song anymore, or they tired of hearing it, or they start wanting to change this, start wanting to change that. It's because they done had 3 months to listen to it over and over and over again, and all these little small revisions you making over time, and they're like, oh, I don't really like that anymore. You're losing it, man. And it's sad. Like, I never want to badmouth anybody or anything, but it's always funny to me when I don't get a particular project for whatever reason, and then I see how long it's taking them to get the project done, and just be like,
see,
man,
could have got it done.
If you would have just got with me, like you're supposed to, we'd be done. Like, I remember last year there was a project that I ended up not getting, and they never got it. I kept, like, following, because I knew the guys, so I, how's everything going, and I see them do stuff. It's like, oh man, this, and the funny thing was, they would be in my studio working on other stuff. Like, dang. And it's like, yo, how's that other project going? It's like, man, I don't even want to talk about it. It's like, dang.
No one talk about it.
That's crazy. Like, I've done, 5, 6 whole albums since this one project that y'all ain't got done yet. And it's all because of the decision that was made to go another direction.
I had one the same way that happened. This was like a couple of years ago now that I'm looking back on it. I had put in a bid to mix it, and the guy actually hit me up about mixing it, and I was like, cool, and then they went on the project to get it recorded and all of that stuff, like there was a live record, and then they did the recording, And so I kept going down that whole rabbit hole of following up with the person. Hey man, what's up? Hey man, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? And so he ended up going with somebody else to mix it. The guy who actually live engineered it, for whatever reason, he decided that he wanted to use that guy to mix it. Cool, whatever. I moved on. And between that time that the project actually, I'm not gonna name it, it actually just got finished and they just uploaded it. It just went live on Apple Music and all of that like 2 weeks ago. And we're talking about 2 years ago when we had the initial conversation, and 2 weeks ago the thing just dropped. And between then and that initial conversation, I've mixed and or produced, definitely with mixing, I've mixed over 100 records.
Come on, man. I mean, Delaney Land alone, we know we did
just
that.
with Delaney Land, like if I count Delaney Land, we probably close to 200 records since that thing dropped. And it's like, yo, like since that initial conversation, I was like, man, we could have been done had you done, because again, it's about speed. It's about I had an engineer, I think it was John Yash. He told me this years ago. He's like, whatever you do, he said, do it fast. Whenever you work with an artist, he said, my goal is to get him in and out as fast as possible. One, because he doesn't want to bottleneck himself. He doesn't want to be with projects backed up for months and months and months and months and months and months. You get bottlenecked because you got like all of these people that are hitting you up wanting to get this mixed and get that mixed or this produced or that produced. You don't want to bottleneck yourself. You got other projects you want to get done and other clients that you got to get to. You can't afford, you literally cannot afford to spend 6 months working with one client. Like the longest project that I ever worked on was a guy 2 years. And and I'll say this and then we'll start closing this thing out. This project for me lasted almost 2 years to get that project done. Now I got paid really good to produce that record. But the process, because again, you're talking about deposits, you're talking about all this stuff like that. That whole process, and to his credit, I'll say this: he paid me pretty much up front for that record. I did, like, he paid me in like installments, but he had paid for the record way before it came out. But the issue was I was still dealing with that record 2 years later, even though I'd already got my money for it, because of time mismanagement. Really, and I'll be transparent on both our sides. Time mismanagement on both our sides and all of those different things. This project just drug out for 2 years.
For no reason.
For no reason. For no reason. Like it should have been done. But like I said, that was the bought lesson that I learned from that particular project, was that, you want to get these things done as quick as possible, and so you can move on to the next thing. And like I said, I know, and
that's actionable. Like, I think one thing some people are going to have to do is you need to sit down, and this is what we call working on your business time. There, like, there's a difference between working in your business and working on your business. And so on this working on your business part, you need to sit down and kind of write out these processes. If you've never done that, like, you need to sit down and write that out. Like, what does it look like for you to produce a record? What does that process look like from beginning to end? How do you operate? Like, when you mixing, like, okay, what does that process look like? Write all this stuff down so you have it. And then when you go into these situations, you can give realistic timelines. Like, I'm really good about timelines. Like, even before I was using Sonito to manage stuff, I was always tracking time. Like, I used to have a notepad that I kept next to my desk that was a timesheet, almost like a job. That cool, I'm working on this project. We recording. All right, how many hours to record? Boom, write that down. All right, we editing vocals. How long it takes? So now I'm at a point now, 15 years later, that I can give you a really, really probably 98% accuracy of how long it's going to take to do a particular thing on a project, because I've done it so many times that I can look at those numbers and say, it takes this long to edit vocals. Vocal session, like now, people think they come and record vocals in an hour. No, you're not. No, leave vocal session 3 hours minimum.
Minimum. And we booking
and that's
it.
Somebody that's just amazing. Like that's like, oh, you really dope, and you just come in here and nail it. All your stacks and all your background and all that stuff, like you just nail it. But a vocal session for lead vocals could easy be 8 hours, man. Easy. That mean easy. crazy. Like I'm working with an artist right now. Like they was flabbergasted at how long it was taking them to record a record. But then when they was hearing it, it was like, oh my gosh, this sounds great. Yeah, but it takes time.
It takes
to
time
get it that
you
way.
You got to
man.
dial that stuff in, all of that. So you got to make sure that you get your processes lined up. I think if anything, with the deposits, whether you take deposits, whether you don't take deposits, whether you get paid in installments, or whether you lay things out that way, however you lay it out, I think Dale made the most accurate way of doing it. You got to know your business. You got to know your processes. You got to know how things operate. You got to know your finances. You got to know your budgets. You got to know what people are charging you for this, what people are charging you for that, what's happening over here. How long is this going to take? Like Jesus said, he said, no man builds a house without first counting up the cost. So you got to do those things. You got to go in. You got to know what you're doing before you, and that's a part of the process. I got a couple of things. I think this question that popped in. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. I know it came from Facebook. It says, "Do y'all use a time frame for revisions?"
That's a good question.
Now, personally, yes. I'm trying to think back to a recent project. What I did with revisions on that. I try to make it I try to make it as quick as possible. Because again, we're trying to get in and get out of that, because you can get locked in revision hell, so to speak, with artists. I'm talking like up to the 9th, 10th revision, trying to get this song, and both of you are frustrated at that point. So I won't say revision a time frame. But what I do is I limit revision amounts. So I have basically about a 3 revision limit per song. Like, we need to be out of there by mix 4 at max if we're mixing. Like arrangement, if we're in an arrangement stage, if we're in, production stage, those are a little bit different, time frames. Like with production, I'm definitely trying to cut down on revisions as much as possible, because we know time is money. If I got, I need to know that I'm getting, I need to know that I'm getting my best time for money, cost, thing line out for the most part. I need to know that I'm lining that out, because again, if I got to go back in and get the bass player to recut bass, or the drummer to recut, that's more money I got to spend. So one practice I do, this is just for the producers, on the revision side for producers to cut down on those revisions, I do dummy drums, dummy bass for the artist before I send to a live bass player or a live drummer or a live guitar player. I do the dummy tracks first.
And that's why I like
using
the band method.
VSTs. So they know how the bass is going to kind of feel and going to kind of sound, or how the drums are going to kind of feel. Of course, my key drums are terrible, but they get a in and around reference of what this song is going to be sketched out and sounds like from the jump. So that when I send it to the bass player plays it, and there's typically, the bass line is the bass line, the drums are the drums, the guitars will, if anything, them hearing the actual recorded instruments is going to blow them away, because they already approved the arrangement as it was with VSTs. So now when we get to the actual stuff and they hear those real guitars, they're gonna be like, oh my God, yeah, this sounds amazing. Oh my God, these drums are amazing. They're better than you know what I mean? So that's one way you can cut, because you want to definitely cut down on the revisions on the production side. Mixing, I'm in on like a 3 revision limit most of the time, by practice, again, knowing my business and knowing the style. Most of the time I'm out of there by mix 3. That's just almost like a just from experience, but I leave myself some room, because you never know, so I'll give them 3 revisions on that particular thing, because again, we're going to have the initial mix, and you try to blow them away as much as you can with the initial mix. And then they're going to have revisions. It's just a part of the thing. They're going to. I've only had maybe out of 100 mixes in the past year, I've had maybe 3 of them that got approved on mix 1. Maybe. And that's maybe 2.5. That's just saying like, oh, they thought it was dope. And then they came back a week later and was like, I've been listening to it. Let me change this. Let me change that. So what you try to do is just limit your revision amount versus a time frame on a day-to-day basis on how many revisions there, how many days it's going to take on a revision. No, just limit the amount of revisions that they get. Just give them 1 or 2 revisions or 3 revisions max on that song. So that way you don't frustrate, because again, by the time you get to mix 5, mix 6, we're playing a semantics game at that point. We're like, that shaker is just a little too loud.
Well, guess
or
what?
That whatever.
So here's something, kind of piggybacking off of that and kind of, playing this out a little bit further. What you can do in this scenario when you have terms written out that they can see that it's clear, like you can't do this stuff in your head. Like they got to notice that this is a thing. So once you've set forth that, okay, you do 3 revisions, then you can say, all right, after the 3rd revision, it costs this much. For the next
that's
revision.
where I was going.
So that way you kind of giving yourself, okay, the ability to make some more money on a project.
Exactly.
And you're putting the pressure back on them. Because like, okay, cool. I don't mind going in and do the revision, but now this is more time. This is more than we agreed to.
It's more time and it's more money.
So now there's more money that needs to be involved. Like that's always the key, upsell, if you will. If you think about the retail world, like that's an upsell. It's like, okay, cool. I give you this much revisions. If you need more, here's how much it's going to cost you. So they know going in, like, all right, I got this many revisions. So they take their time making those notes. They get the stuff that's really important. And then if they get down to that last one, but they really feel like they need a couple more things to be done, they know, hey, I've already used up my 3, so it's going to cost me this much money. So either they pay that and cool, you made more money, or they say, you know what, it ain't really that.
It really ain't this. And I've had that's a true story. I've had that happen just recently. And so just as a baseline, I charge it's just like you're making a nominal fee. It's not something, you're not charging them $1,000 to do a revision. You know what I mean? Like I do $25 for an additional revision is what I do, because it's a small amount that will it does enough to the brain to say, I don't want to spend another $25, let me just go ahead and knock that out. And then it's also something to kind of help you with your frustration that at least, if they go over revision 3 and we get and they need to pay for revision 4 and they paid you that $25, you could at least go get lunch for you and the wife that day and put $5 in the gas tank.
I love this world now, because before doing that, like you said, you get frustrated. You're doing all this, like they don't have a clear understanding. You got in your mind of what you wanted this to be, but you never told them about it. So now you're going on this back and forth, round and round circle of, oh, let's fix this, let's fix that. The point of no return. Whereas when there's some money tacked onto it, then it's like, okay,
the brain.
If that's what you want to do, then cool. I'm getting paid for it, so it's not that frustrating of a situation anymore, because there is money involved. The worst part is when you're doing this stuff and you're not making any additional money, which is again another. We could probably make this episode go on to another week and kind of get some more time, because now you start to get into project pricing versus hourly pricing, all these things. Like, okay, when you're on project pricing, you really got to manage that time, because it's based on X, Y, and Z. And as soon as W comes into the picture, then it's like, man, here we go. Like the rate done changed, we done changed it up. Whereas, when you start talking about hourly stuff, then it's like, okay, boom, this is the thing. Like even setting forth your hours, like that's one of the best things I did. Like I work from 10 to 6. That's it. I work from 10 to 6.
I love it. After
hours is something totally different. Weekends, I don't work on weekends. But if you want me to, I work for weekends, but you're going to pay me to work on the weekends. And it's extra fee. Like I didn't learn that until in post-production, until I got into the union and started seeing how the union rules are and how they operate. Then it like made me, like when I went back to being, mostly working on freelance stuff, it's just like, okay, I need to take some of these same practices and move that way, because it's a better life experience for me. And, it puts some details in place that is like, okay, cool. I'm not going to go above and beyond just because, like, and again, that's something we are guilty of doing, of course, because we want the work to be great. We want our name to be on. We want all this stuff to be right. But at the same time, we got to make sure we're not allowing ourselves to be ran over. So it's like, man, if it's, 3 a.m. and they over here like, oh, we just need to cut one more vocal. It's like, man, for what?
Come on.
like, am I getting paid any more money for this? And so either that's you got to make your project price that much more to where it's like it doesn't matter for those types of things, or you have some hourly stuff in place for like, okay, these are after hours type of rates. This is weekend rate. We're doing 10 hours max, and then every hour after that is considered overtime. Like all the same stuff. Matter of fact, y'all got jobs, so the same way your job do time and a half and all that kind of stuff. You can do the exact same thing as long as you lay those terms out and you have that stuff down and everybody knows what to expect from you up front. Like you can do all of those things and you don't feel bad about it. Now I don't feel bad at all. Like I remember a couple weeks ago, I was working on a TV show and there was a mix supposed to be done on Friday, but we were waiting on music to be composed. And everybody knows, okay, 6 o'clock, I'm out. I'm done, especially on Friday. Friday's movie night. So
come on.
I'm out. And so the music didn't come in until 5:40. So what I do, I call my supervisor, like, hey, what are they saying as far as time? Because it's 6 o'clock and I'm out. I'm out. Oh, well, they still want to get it done and delivered today, blah, blah. Okay. So that means that I'm gonna be working on the weekend to do that. So
that's extra.
Here's my day rate for the weekend. What do they want to do?
Yep.
That's that.
That's it, man.
There's no going back and forth on it. I'm not budging on it. Like I'm not being timid about it. It's just like, hey, this is a situation. Again, going back to what I said earlier about that's their fault. The music didn't come in until 5:40. I'm out at 6.
Yep.
Why is it my fault? And why do I need to stay in here for, some more hours, family waiting on me, for movie and all that kind of stuff. And now wife mad at me because I'm not home at the time I said I was gonna be home, all because y'all delivered something late. That ain't my fault. Because at least, I told somebody this a couple years ago. Like, if I'm gonna do extra work, I gotta bring home extra money.
You gotta bring home extra money.
It's gotta work that way.
Because that's the only way you're gonna sell it to the wife. That's it. That's the way it goes.
The only way you're gonna sell it to the wife. So y'all get your processes down, man. Get it on paper, and you have it. And you put that in front of clients' faces, like hey, this is how I operate.
This is how I operate. I love it, man. I love it, man. And like I think over here on YouTube, no, they said facts. Somebody else said something else. Yeah, he said usually after we stream it on YouTube as well. Trevor over there says usually after about 3 revisions, you're just going in circles. Yes,
yeah, I got a brain trick that I use for this. So what I tell people in my stuff is that I'm unlimited revisions within reason, and typically by the 3rd revision, most people are happy. So if you get to that 3rd revision and you're still not happy, I don't mind working on it, but we are going to get on a phone call or something, and we're going to make sure we're still on the same page. So I play those little mind games with people. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
they see the unlimited thing, way. But there's things in there that says, okay, it's not completely unlimited. Like there's a point of no return. Like you said, you do be going in circles. It's like, yo, you do. And again, this is why I love using a platform that allows you to see comments, because when there is, hey, at this first chorus, the bass needs to come up. All right, cool. You did that revision, right? 2 revisions later, hey, can the bass come down in the first chorus? Hey,
you already said that.
You see right here, you said on the first revision to bring the bass up. Now you're telling me to bring the bass down.
Which one is it?
Which one is it?
Exactly. And no, that's real. And I do the same thing. You guys should look in, in addition to like Sonito and things like that, to looking for your business, look into audio movers, look into apps like that, or get you an interface. All of them come with it now. There's just about not a new interface that's on the market right now that does not come with loop back built into it. Get you a device like that, or invest in audio movers, or just buy loopback. There's actually a software called Loopback as well. Then Pro Tools just released Aux.io, is it?
Aux.io, yep.
Aux.io is built into Pro Tools.
Program
if you're
called
a Pro
Session
Tools
Wire,
user.
which is really dope because they got the video platform with Session Wire.
Look
But
at
yeah,
those. Look into those things.
I'm the to bring you into a revision real quick. Like I will be like, hey, let's hop on a call and do these revisions in real time. Like
exactly. I do Zoom. So like I'll do Zoom and now even I could do FaceTime. You can do it over FaceTime now. If you're on Monterey or above, you can actually do full FaceTime sessions, and you can share your screen from your Mac and your audio from your Mac all over FaceTime. You know, if you're doing FaceTime from your Mac, you can do that and actually do a revision. So when we've done mix 1, we got revisions on mix 2, and then we come back after mix 2, we get ready to go into mix 3. That's when I say, okay, hey, do you want to hop on a call? Do you want to hop on Zoom? Do you want to hop on FaceTime?
Oh, I don't
really
ask.
quick?
I tell you. Like you know.
Let's hop on because we got one more revision. Yeah, we got one more revision, and let me play this for you. Especially when you get into those things that are like semantics, where they're really complaining about this. I'll tell this story, and then we're gonna end up for the day. I didn't know we've been on for an hour and a half. That's crazy. I'll tell this story that happened to me. This was last year. There was this mix I was dealing with this client that was frustrating the HE double hockey sticks out of me. And they were paying for revisions. Don't get me wrong. They paid for the revisions. But we were going back and forth, like doing comments, looking at notes, reading notes, going back and doing those notes, sending it back to the artist. And they're still like, so finally, I think we were at mix 5 or 6 at this point. I said, that's it. Let me just jump on. I was trying to be nice with her, trying to deal with. Let me just go ahead, jump on Zoom with you real quick, and let's go through this. We're gonna go through this song minute by minute, and we're gonna make sure that you're happy at the end of this thing, and then we're gonna print that mix and call it a day. So we're going through. I'm on Zoom with her for like close to an hour. And we're going through this mix and going through it or whatever, and then she's just she's just talking about this, and I can't hear the bass, and I'm like, you can't hear the bass? Like I got a sub, and I'm like, this thing is loud. Like, yo, like, what do you mean you can't hear the bass? And then finally something like just tapped me on the shoulder and said, what are you listening on? Because the way she had it, we're in landscape, she's doing like this. I'm thinking like, maybe she's on a computer or whatever. She's listening. I know she didn't have no headphones or anything like that. So I'm like, what are you listening on? I'm listening on my phone. Is your phone plugged up to anything? No. I'm listening on my phone. You're listening on the phone speaker? Yeah. I'm listening on my iPhone on the speakers that are built into my iPhone. And I was just like, that was the issue. The whole freaking time, you're listening to all of these mixes on nothing but your phone.
Hey, but
and then you're wondering why you can't hear the strings.
You can literally put in your requirements before you send me revisions. I need you to listen to this mix on at least 3 different systems.
At least. And so here's what happened. I said, so again, professionalism. This is professionalism. This is a lesson you guys can learn from this in professionalism. I did not like blow up or go off or just, make her feel bad or anything like that. That's not good business practice. Never do that. Now, after I got off the phone, I called the homeboys and we just chuckled and laughed and just had a fit about it. But while I was on the call, I calmly said to her, I said, you got a car? And she was like, yes. I was like, go listen. Do you got Bluetooth in your car or an aux cable in your car? She was like, yeah, I do. I was like, hey, go in the car, sit in there, plug it up to the aux or Bluetooth or whatever, and listen in there. She went and got in the car, plugged it up. I pressed play, and she was like, oh my God, I can hear it. She wasn't one of us. She wasn't one of us. She was an older lady too. So you gotta, again,
you gotta work with them.
Gotta work with them. She's like, oh my God, I can hear the bass. Oh my God, I can hear everything now. This sounds amazing. It was just like, oh. So those are those situations you have to deal with that. So like you said, you got to outline those things, and you got to deal with those things like that. But All right, so that's all we got for today because I know we could be in here all day. This is the Hangout, and that's what we're doing. We're hanging out and doing all of those things, and it's been fun. So I like this format. I think we're gonna stick with this, just doing it instead of doing our pre-records. I think we're just gonna do these things live from here on out. We're just gonna come out live, and we just because I love the interaction with you guys and stuff as well. This is really really cool. Good way to kind of jump in and do these shows. So we're gonna keep this up and do some different topics and different things like that. So I'm excited. We'll be back again next Thursday with another topic, another discussion, and we'll keep hanging out and we'll keep talking about these things. But it's been fun. It's been cool. We're gonna sign on off for the day and get off, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one. All right. So y'all be easy, be breezy. And we'll talk to you guys next week. All right. Peace.